minutes till we start up with the Chips and Salsa show. We appreciate you tuning in. We probably start a little early, George, huh?
And
So just bear with us, alrighty? Enjoy the scenery.
well, that's yeah, that's the promo. So that's good. So as soon as that ends, then just go live.
Okay. Okay. Share Rana. Did I share it to my? Do you ever start sharing and you're like, okay, what did I share it to? I don't remember.
What's this?
That's part of his company.
Makeup eraser?
I think it's for makeup though. Do you wear makeup? You know what? I got one at the women's club, so you can have that one.
Okay.
Andy, did he bring a little bio or anything?
About what?
Did he bring a little bio or anything?
His bio?
Mhm.
No, I do have a card, a little card. Is that what you mean?
Well, does it have a little short story? I'll go to his website and find it.
I'll go get some cards.
Sure. Okay.
When they actually go to retrieve a list.
It looks okay on YouTube.
Both.
You gonna play Ruben Obed?
Yeah, it's a good idea. He's got a new song. I posted it on the deal. Did you see it? I posted it on the Facebook site.
It's right. It's level,
It's like
crooked.
since it's faced this way and it has to like get everything. It's like kind of.
But you'll get him right when he says.
You get him in.
Okay, that's what's important. And did that thing?
It's still going.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you could cancel that watch party and then if we have the watch party on and it's just I want to set up just for her to do the filming.
Oh, you have a watch party going on?
Yeah, and it's playing the promo. But I'd like to. Let me see. Is it
I ended it.
is it ready to? Is it set
Oh, we
up?
still have plenty of time.
And I like to
Yeah,
film it sideways.
but we're actually on YouTube right now.
Oh, you
So
are?
if you want to talk to YouTube.
It's not fair to give her one, you guys.
Oh, thank you.
This is
Thank you.
probably, well, that's really not. I don't know.
I am a big T-shirt wearer, you know.
Good.
Awesome. YouTube, guys. I'm Al Slada, as you know. We're going to start the actual official show in a few minutes.
And then
But this is our candidate who will be our special guest tonight, Daniel McCarthy. He's running for U.S. Senate 2020. Currently, our senator is Martha McSally. So we have in the race, as far as I know, we have Martha McSally and Daniel McCarthy. Is there anybody else running?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think there's some individuals that I don't know who will be on the ballot other than myself. And
At this point, that's what we
Myself.
have.
have you
Awesome.
had any kind of forum where both of you've been on?
Martha and myself? No, we've been requesting, obviously, we'd love to get a debate scheduled as quickly as possible. As a matter of fact, just from a professional standpoint, we have asked, in the last couple of weeks specifically, because our calendar is obviously scheduling very fast. So we'd like to get some things scheduled quickly so we can get some stuff on the calendar. But nothing, no response from anybody.
Well, it's going to be a busy campaign season.
Yes, it is. It's going to be very busy.
Okay.
Very
I'm
busy.
going to get our little
Got ready?
props up here. We might start a little early since we have you already on here.
And we're already on YouTube.
Daniel, go ahead and give your website out to the YouTubers. That's fine.
All of our positions and obviously tons of information is available at demanddaniel.com. And again, that's demanddaniel.com. So 2 D's, just like it sounds. Not. By the way, someone the other day said they thought that because I said it so fast, they thought that I said demand, like you're.
Oh, demand,
Yeah,
like
no,
demand.
it's not that. It's demand. Like I'm demanding something.
Demand.
Yeah. So
The
that's-
man.
Yeah. Demanddaniel.com.
Yeah,
Um,
got that straight.
that's
And
easy.
you're
enough.
on Facebook, you got your website going
Yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah,
everything's
absolutely.
good.
Yeah,
All right,
we're
awesome.
cruising. Engagement levels are extremely high. It's crazy. We've had over, I don't even know the number now. It's staggering. Thousands and thousands of volunteers. Our signatures are coming in huge quantities. I mean, we're overwhelmed by the support in terms of signatures on the petitions. Obviously, we have people going out there working their tail off, all organic. We haven't paid for anything. We're going to win this, and not only are we going to win this in a spectacular fashion, but we're going to win this with record low spending from a primary perspective. We're going to win this in a way that people have not seen in politics, at least that I'm aware of outside of Trump.
So there you have it. We're going to start up in just a couple minutes and do the official show, and then we'll have a lot more questions and find out a lot more about our candidate, Daniel McCarthy.
We start in 4 minutes, people.
You know what I want to do? I want to go ahead, since
Well,
we
she
have some
might
time
start
here, and I want to talk about, I know we're on YouTube, but last night at my Greater Phoenix Republican Women's Club, we had a wonderful speaker, Joan Cisco. Do you happen to know who that is?
I've heard the name.
She's with Veterans First, and they primarily deal with a lot of homeless women veterans. They do some fantastic, fantastic things. Now, if you live in the Phoenix area, next month we usually have a monthly meeting, but it's December, so we'll be having our Christmas party on a Saturday morning at the University Club, and they're going to be one of our charities. So I encourage you to find out about that. You can go to our Facebook site. We're Greater Phoenix Republican Women. And have you come to our club yet?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't
Okay,
think so.
so, get that on your calendar maybe.
Okay, let's do it.
And she's, it's good. It's called Mary Ellen's Place. That's for women's veterans. And they do so much. It's just an incredible deal. And we're hoping to have her on. And they serve women veterans that are single and those who have children. They also assist elderly veterans and veteran families with children that are struggling. They give rental assistance. I mean, there's a big, long list of what they do. But she was a phenomenal speaker. And that's awesome. We have a lot of really good topics tonight that we'll get into. And George, any other little quick announcements before we start the show? We could
No,
do?
I'm wearing an old shirt.
Oh yeah, you do
The
have a whole
Latino,
shirt on there.
the Arizona Latino organization that we used to belong to, ALRA.
Do you know that was like 2011?
Yep. And we started a radio show at the same time called Radio ALRA. And from that, we've branched to the Chips and Salsa show.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because also this is our 5th year kind of doing this kind of stuff for the Chips and Salsa show. And we have a little following that we're pretty proud of. And so we appreciate you Chipsters for listening. So if you want to get started, we could get started a little early.
Yeah.
All right, could do that. So whenever you're ready, Sarah, you tell us. So you know we're going on Facebook also.
And I have my pen from the Republican convention that I attended when Trump was elected. And I would recommend the convention to anybody. You should have it on your bucket list. And I enjoyed the
The
5 days.
Republican convention for
The
presidents.
Republican convention. You meet delegates from all over the United States, and it is an experience to behold. I thank the Lord I was able to go, and I may make it again. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Okay. So whenever you're ready, Miss Sarah. Guess what? It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lado with.
Don Jorge El Alacran.
We have a fantastic guest, candidate Daniel McCarthy. We're going to introduce in just a few minutes. But first, to get us started in the mood, also shout out to Super Sarah, our intern behind the camera.
Super Sarah.
Shout out to Andy Anderson, who's here with our candidate.
And
Okay.
we're on YouTube, and we have Secret Sonia to thank for that.
Yes, thank you, Secret Sonia, our producer, who does a lot of things remotely, and she's awesome, takes care of us. And for now, we're going to start you out with one of our favorites, Ruben Obed.
From Puerto Rico.
And we like to tell the story. 2016, the song's written. It's my ringtone stuff.
Let's get it straight. Who am I gonna vote for? I'll vote for the man who tells me the truth.
Ruben is also doing music all the time. We just posted something on today's Chips and Salsa show. So if you want to follow him, just go to YouTube or go to his page. It's Ruben Obed, Obed, El Mejor. And he is a big Trump supporter.
He's got a
Because,
studio in Puerto Rico.
as you know, this song,
Let's put an end to political correctness and make you comprehend. Trump is Latinos gonna vote for Trump. Who you gonna vote for? Trump is Latinos gonna vote for Trump. Vote for Trump. Trump is Latinos gonna vote for Trump.
Sarah's dancing back there. Alrighty, so
And he said that he doesn't charge people to play his songs, to download them. He would like, if you can, donate to his PayPal. But he said even Trump could play his song at one of the rallies, and he's more than welcome to play it. He gives them permission. He gives anybody permission. Like we play it here. He doesn't charge us royalties for it. He's doing it of the kind of his heart. He loves Trump. He's always backed Trump. He's got a studio in Puerto Rico. He makes his money recording songs for people, recording programs. He's got a really good studio out there in Puerto Rico. And,
So thank you, Ruben O. Right into our guest, because he can only stay for a half hour, and we're so happy and delighted to have candidate Daniel McCarthy.
Thank you for having me very much, both of you.
Well,
And thank you for your hard work that you guys have done for all these years.
thank you.
It doesn't work without patriots working hard to. Everything helps. Every little bit work. It contributes towards the greater cause, and so thank you both.
We appreciate that. And just full disclosure too, as George was saying earlier in the YouTube and our little promo, we invite all the candidates to come here, and Senator McSally does have an open invitation to come to our show. So I don't want you guys to think, well, how come you don't have that other candidate? Anybody we have, we had a
Sure.
sheriff candidate last time.
And she has
That's
been
good.
here in this building quite a few times for meetings with different LDs.
Right.
So she's more than welcome to attend our show, which is a little bit.
With me
That's
too.
right.
And-
with me too.
and-
She's,
and
she's
with
one of
Daniel.
the- she can just hop in. She can actually just come with me and campaign with me. Actually,
If you are
Okay.
right there, close by,
I'm okay with that.
Senator, come on in. We'd love to have you. So
Yeah.
let's get started.
She can hop right in the Mercedes with us, and we can go from town to town. Because right now, if you guys have watched the pace that we have set a pace that most candidates run at the end of a campaign. That's how we start, and that pace is going to continue to accelerate, and it's going to get from our candidacy. What you're going to watch is someone that is very concerned about the direction of our country and willing to fight every single day to make sure that we change that.
So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's nothing wrong with having two candidates together, because the people watching, if you have an audience, or if you have people watching on YouTube or Facebook, they can call in questions and they can ask each of the candidates there, and they explain your position on this, explain your position on that. There's nothing wrong with that. That is the democratic way. Not the democratic, but the
Yeah, be careful with those words.
the
So let's get
political
into,
way.
let's quit taking time up
Sorry.
so we can ask him some questions, since we have 24 minutes now.
No worries,
So,
fine.
okay, so you're running for office.
Yep.
Give us your little quick 1 minute story about where you come from and
Sure.
been in Arizona, how long, and all that good
Yep,
stuff.
I've been in Arizona since I've been 18 years old. I met my wife, and very quickly we were married. We were very blessed that we found each other when we did, and we've been business partners since that point. And our businesses have ranged from the real estate industry to the cosmetics industry, of course, with one of our products there in our business.
Oh, this is your real job?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. So this organization and others that we've contributed towards, we have brought obviously tens of millions of dollars into the state of Arizona, and we, in terms of business, obviously that's where our runway is. Lexi and I also have 4 children, are fathered by the fact that as a party, we lost a Senate seat, and then on top of that, we appointed the person into the Senate seat that became vacant due to someone passing away. And the way in which it all happened, I was not pleased with. So I was behind the scenes being very loud about that and expressing my concern over the fact that as a donor and as an individual that watches the party, I'm saying, hey, if you guys, we need to clean this up quickly. And we have momentum right now. The nice thing is in 2016, what we watched the grassroots of our party. We watched the conservative base of our party kind of finally break the mold of the swamp of DC. And it's time to make sure that DC knows that they do not control our senators or who our senators are going to be here in Arizona. So this is a very principled race.
Do you have any other political experience prior to this?
So my background of obviously being a PC, I've been a PC for the Republican Party on and off for 10 years.
Precinct committeeman.
Yeah,
Terminology.
yeah. If you're listening to this and you're not a precinct committeeman, you really should try to be one. It's not something that's very difficult to become, and the party needs grassroots activists out there. So please become a PC. You can learn a lot by doing so.
And that's like an AKA neighborhood representative.
That's it. Yeah, it's obviously I can manage it with a very hectic schedule for a long time. So you can handle it, I promise.
So you've been a PC for a while?
Yeah, about 10 years. And in addition to that, in terms of political background, I've done a lot of stuff in the political space in terms of helping candidates out that I've liked, or obviously there's been no one at the federal level that I have felt represents my core beliefs, and I've been very concerned that for a long time Arizona has sent individuals to Washington D.C. that really are not party people. They are individuals that frankly weren't the best. So we have an opportunity to kind of break that gridlock a little bit in terms of putting patriots from our party into the federal Senate race and congressional seats. We're starting to see that with the likes of Andy Biggs and some others that I think have done a remarkable job. So the challenge now is for me, jumping into politics for the first time. A lot of people think that I have I'm jumping into a big race, but for me it's really not that. This is where I would go naturally based on my business background.
Have you run for anything before? I mean,
No.
besides precinct committee?
We've done some. I mean, I've done some little stuff. I mean, I've been on some boards. I've spent times on different boards for the community, or I've worked on some nonprofit stuff and those type of things. But no, this is the first time of a significant election right here.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm always interested in, just like every race, because obviously you're going to have the Democrats already have their candidate.
Yeah, they do.
You're going to have Mr. Kelly.
Yeah.
Astronaut Kelly. So tell us what is your strategy against this candidate? Because, Arizona, we're barely red, man. We're really more like purple.
I disagree with that, and I'll tell you why I say that is because I think that
You don't think we're barely red?
No, I think we're a lot more conservative and red than what
Thank
people.
you. Please convince me.
I really do. I think there's a lot more in terms of the Arizona culture that's conservative than what we give it credit for. The challenge is we haven't had a good candidate. We haven't had someone to rally behind in years. So what I'm finding is, especially out in the rural areas of Arizona, these individuals are craving someone that is Second Amendment strong on our borders, pro-business, pro-growth, less regulations, limited government, and really means what they say. We have not had that in the Republican Party for a long time. We've had open borders Republicans. We've had, frankly, compromising Republicans everywhere. So I think if we get a good candidate past the primary, I think what you're going to find is you're going to find a rally like you've never seen before, just like we saw in 2016. I think we'll see it again in 2020.
Okay, fair enough. Good,
Yeah.
and I sure hope that you're right.
Yep.
We just, you see all these things, and we see a lot of people moving into Arizona.
Yeah.
And then the polls that come out, but not that you can believe the polls all the time.
Well, you really can. People can buy the polls. This is new to me. I mean, for those of you watching this and let's say you're new to politics, one of the things about polls that people don't realize is you can pay for whatever questions you want. I mean, so it's very easy to manipulate a poll. So be very careful with polls. But the question you asked about myself in terms of how to actually beat Mark Kelly, this is not going to be as much of a challenge as what people think. Mark is a very bureaucratic, moderate Democrat, but he is extremely bureaucratic. This is someone that once he's exposed for the fact that for 10 years the Democratic Party has been investing in this guy. So never before has the Democratic Party worked this hard on a candidate as they have in Mark Kelly. But more importantly than all of that, I mean, this is all stuff that we'll get into as the campaign goes on, but this is going to be a race about our Second Amendment rights. Mark Kelly cannot run away from his positions on the Second Amendment, and we need someone that is, unequivocally a no, not a squishy Republican, not someone that says we will not compromise on our gun rights in this country. Period. End of story. There is no more regulations. There is no more infringement on our Second Amendment rights. Unfortunately, for some, even in our party, the governor of our party has advocated for red flag laws. So we're going to need a new face that actually means what they say when it comes to the Second Amendment in order to have a logical argument when it comes to that.
Daniel, have you always been conservative Republican?
I have, yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think like everyone else, we all kind of evolve in terms of your position sharpens over time. I would say that I've matured in my political positions, I would say, over the course of the last, probably about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. But I was blessed because my mother actually ran for office when I was about 8 years old, and she won. She was the first woman councilwoman in the town I grew up in. So she was my hero, and I paid particular attention to politics from that point forward. I never wanted to be a politician, by the way. That was always my vow. I always said I never want to do that because I saw what it did. So for me, I was blessed from the standpoint that I was more informed than most young people growing up. I was more observant than a lot of young people growing up, and I think that translated well into my adulthood.
And here you are.
Here I am, yeah. Here I am. Yes.
Okay, I don't want all this.
When you say cut departments, unnecessary departments, would you say, for instance, the Board of Education in Washington, they say it's bureaucratic. Are you in favor of limiting it down to the states?
That's it. Yeah, the Department of Education, Ronald Reagan, a lot of people don't know this, but Ronald Reagan, when one of the large reasons he won was because of his stance on abolishing the Department of Education that was just enacted by Jimmy Carter. And now, almost 40 years later, we are now in a position where we spend at the federal level $60 billion a year on a federal Department of Education.
Wow.
Why does the state of Arizona need to be told by Washington, D.C. what standards should be in place for our public school systems here? And by the way, speaking of that, my opponent, and this is in our own party with Martha, this is someone that has recently co-sponsored a bill that they want to observe everything that children do in public schools here across the country to ensure that if there's any red flags that pop up in their computer systems from our children. So imagine for a second, in our own party, we have people that are advocating for this type of surveillance. And this is why I'm running. These are examples of why I'm doing this.
And what about, what about the agencies like the FBI, the deep state agencies that have gotten out of control? As a senator, would you try to rein them in through bringing them in and maybe passing legislation that kind of controls them a little bit better, that they don't go off and do things like what is going to come out pretty soon about what they did? The higher ups, not the field people, but the higher ups spying on people and using the FISA court to spy on people. That every time I see the FBI or CIA now, I used to respect them, but now that when I see them, it's like I'm always in the back of my head, is this guy compromised by his bosses? It's like you don't trust them anymore. You don't have that trust anymore in them. And that FISA court was done for a reason, but I think they abused it.
Yeah.
And so in the NSA also, they were able to get records in the NSA on private citizens, and it was like it's going to come out. But as a senator, are you going to try to reel them in?
Yeah, no, so
I mean, if we take control of the Senate like we should, could
Keep,
you?
you mean keep?
right.
Control.
Well,
He's going to be, obviously, not in the Senate. He'll be in the House of Representatives.
Well,
No, in the Senate.
No, in the
Yeah.
Senate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, the Senate.
No,
That's,
I
why,
understand.
that's why I'm asking, because the
Space
Senate
it.
is the one that they pass a bill, the House either approves it or doesn't approve it, then it goes back to the Senate and they reconcile it or something. But the Senate has to have that power. Right now, we don't have the power because it's so close in the Senate.
It's very close.
So I think your first part of that question was the idea of kind of my context of thinking when it comes to federal agencies. I'm a constitutionally minded person, so the scope of the federal government has been far expanded upon in comparison to what it was supposed to be. We had the secret sauce in this country, which created the wealth and the prosperity and obviously all the things that we enjoy today was from a divinely inspired constitution that was something that we've now abused over the last 100 years specifically. So my goal is to obviously work diligently in DC to strip away anything that's unconstitutional. And I think if you have someone that goes to DC with that type of mind frame, what you'll get from that is only good things. Because I'm not looking to pass new laws or new bills. I'm looking to get rid of laws and get rid of bills. I'm looking to downsize the size of the federal government. We are micromanaged now by the federal government in ways that are unbelievably concerning. So to your point, the surveillance state that we have voluntarily allowed is very dangerous, and it's time now again to restrain the federal government. That's what this is all about.
And it is a big concern, and pardon me for getting that confused. It's late, I haven't eaten. But we do need to keep control of the Senate. So let's talk a little bit about the impeachment inquiry that's going on. Oh,
Sure,
Did
sure.
you want to say something first?
No, go ahead. I won't.
Well, I was just going to say, because, what they're saying now is it might pass the House,
Yep.
but then when it gets to the Senate, it won't get past that. And people don't quite understand sometimes just how important that is. And this
Yeah.
is the first time in Arizona, for those of you who don't follow Arizona politics, we actually have a Democrat senator. And she's going to be in there. Kristen Sinema's going to be in there for a long time.
How did we get that?
I didn't vote for her. I didn't vote for her. But here's what's interesting too.
Yeah.
When that was happening, I did survey calls, and I talked to so many people who were going to vote for our Governor Doug Ducey, Republican, but yet they were going to vote for Sinema as well. Anyway,
I think to your point, your concern is that we need to maintain control of the Senate. I want to rewind back to 2016. In 2016, the Republican Party had control of the Senate, had control of the House, and had a president that was very willing to implement serious changes. Now, through those first 2 years, what did we receive other than a tax cut that is temporary? So I agree with you that in theory, it's great that the Republicans garner control of the branches in that we have conservative thinking. Unfortunately, though, within our very own party, we don't really necessarily have true platform-driven Republicans. We have swamp creatures that have been festering for who knows how long. I've been watching this my entire life. And see, this is where you get to as an adult, and I'm sure you guys have, this is why you spend your time doing this, right? Because you're so concerned about what you're seeing, and you get to the point in your life where you say, someone has to listen, right? I've got to do something. And as I started to look at the corruption at the federal level, at the state level, within our very own party, I'm disgusted and concerned about the corruption. So, kind of drain the swamp.
Drain the swamp is true.
And it goes deeper. It goes to the career people.
Career politicians.
Career people that work in the government that are there. They've been in there for years and years and years, different presidents, and that's the swamp in there. They try to, like what they're doing in this impeachment. They're bringing these people in
Sure.
that are a career. What do they call them? They're in the.
They ain't going anywhere. They want to stay in there because a lot of times they do have the control. Is that what you're trying to say?
But a lot of them hate Trump,
That's right.
and he can't get rid of them because of career.
It's hard to get rid of government employees.
Yeah, the way it's set up, they got thousands and thousands of these employees in there, and it makes the swamp even bigger when you start thinking about that.
Yeah, how do you want to do swamp kills? That's what we're asking.
How do you drain the swamp? You drain the swamp by ensuring that we've got to elect God-fearing people into office, people that are not driven by money. Obviously, for us, I'm not looking for the paycheck. I don't want the paycheck. I don't want the pension. I don't want the insider trading tips that our senators so wonderfully enjoy. I'm not looking for these things. I'm looking to control the federal government quickly. My fear is with the impeachment, this is probably going to pass the House. So we are going to have an impeachment on our hands. Our federal senators right now should be in lockstep with the president, defending the president, saying that what's going on is a coup, because that's exactly what this is. This is a government shadow government coup. So, I'm concerned. I mean, I don't know if you saw the CNN press today on my opponent. But this is on news. She ran away from reporters because they were asking her questions about the impeachment. So we can't have that. We want strength. We're looking for individuals that are willing to do what it's necessary to drain the swamp. So,
Daniel, I know we only have a few minutes, so before we ask the next question, give your website and information how people can contact you.
yes, demanddaniel.com, of course, is our website, but Demand Daniel came naturally from the 1,000+ people that wanted me to jump into this race before we did. We were told that we were demanded to run. So, demanddaniel.com, of course, is our website. And we're looking for your time and your talent and your treasure. So we want them all in order to win this. And if you could, obviously, we'd appreciate it.
And what I always like to say, wherever you are watching from another state, he will represent you if he gets elected. If you want to send him a few bucks, don't worry about it if you live in California or, Maine or somewhere.
That's right.
Because he will represent you. So just think about it that way. Now, I do want to ask, I'm a big pro-life person.
Yep, me too.
Okay? And you're totally pro-life?
Life starts at conception.
All right.
Life
awesome.
begins at conception. And the reason I'm saying that, and that's my theme, is because our party forever has said we're pro-life, we're pro-life. It's time now to put Republicans on the stand and say, well, when does life begin then? If you are pro-life means life. Life begins at conception. So we need to protect the life of the unborn. We've had 60 million abortions in this country, 60 million, and that's a travesty. And the women that unfortunately, there's a lot of healing that we need to go through as a country. So I'm looking forward to taking that fight to the Senate floor, big time.
Okay. Andy Anderson told me,
Wall, but
yeah, illegal immigration's good.
Yes, we need a wall. We need a wall fast. We need to finish the wall. And
DACA.
well, this is. That was a nice little slip. The unconstitutional means in which it's a shame what's happened to this country. But let me just say this before I have to leave: is we're in a war as a country. The war that we're in is an interesting war. It's a war that is different than wars that we have fought in the past. We have a Democratic Party that has been hijacked by communists. The Democratic Party is now an out-and-out communist party. And in our very own party, we have individuals that are willing to compromise with that type of thinking. That is very dangerous for all of us. That's one front of the war. We also have in this country 30 million illegal aliens that are, frankly, in a lot of ways, hurting the system very badly because they are confiscating money, and obviously that money's not staying within our country. We also have a growing population of 3,400 active radical Islamic cells. So 3,400, yeah, and no one's talking about these things. All we're talking about is the fact that impeachment. But as this talk is going on, this war that we're all in is advancing. We need to start electing individuals quickly that go to DC and drain the swamp and start getting back to law and order quickly. We need protection in this country. We need to stop the lawlessness because there is a lot of corruption and lawlessness. So my advice to everyone is of course to review your candidates, your options very thoroughly. We cannot afford to lose another Senate seat in this state. We've already lost one, and we're not going to lose another one. So I hope that if anything else, you can visit our website, and I look forward to meeting everyone, of course. I'm doing lots of events.
He's everywhere. We've seen him out there a lot. George and I are in political land, and we see you a lot. So
you're going
come
to a
back.
lot.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thanks
We
for having me.
appreciate
I'm
you
sorry to
coming
bail
in.
out quick.
So you're going to a lot of LDs?
Yes, I am. I'm everywhere.
All right.
I'm everywhere. And
I'm sure we'll see you out there.
That's
Yes, you will.
Do you
legislative.
need any of your props, guys?
No, that's okay. That's okay.
All right.
That's a makeup eraser for you.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
All
No
right.
worries.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks,
Thank
Andy.
you so much.
Thank you, Daniel. You guys be safe.
Yep.
All right, thank you. That was our candidate, Daniel McCarthy, and he is running for the U.S. Senate, and I so apologize for screwing that up, getting that confused. But he's running for U.S. Senate. Right now he's running against our own Senator Martha McSally, and again, George and I just want to really emphasize she is invited, and we have put out the
And I would
invitation.
love-
She can come anytime she wants. I have specifically, because I usually book the guests, and I specifically will just say, you come, you're ready, we'll put you in here.
You
I
know,
just want her to know
I would
that.
love to have her sit here and talk about what her thoughts about what's happening in Washington. Sitting as a senator, she's front row to all of these decisions that are being made in the Senate. She has experience now because she is a sitting senator right now, and we would love to have her on the show. Yes, we had Daniel on the show, but we would love to have Martha McSally on our show and just tell us about her past, what she did in the Air Force when she served, because I have a t-shirt that says I'm a wingman, and we're proud of her service. We're proud of what she's done, and we're proud that she is a sitting senator now. But she has to run in a primary, and Daniel is going to run against her. We would love to hear her opinions of what she feels about education, what she feels about DACA, what she feels about the wall. These are questions that we'll ask her because we asked him, and we would love to have her on our show. We've invited her a few times on the Chips and Salsa show, and we will continue inviting her.
She has an open invitation now, so
invitation.
balls in your court, please.
And this is a long year to run, and our listeners would love to have her on our show, and we would love to have her. We televise here from the People's House, and we would love to have her here and ask her questions and have the viewers ask questions.
All right.
Because she is a good senator.
All right, so now we have plenty of stuff to talk about, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I want to just
A plethora of
a
stuff.
plethora of stuff. But I don't want to forget, if it's okay with you, George, I just was on a trip to the South, and I want to relay a story,
Okay.
if that's all right. First of all, I've never been to the South. We went to Georgia, and we landed in Atlanta. We hit Birmingham, Alabama, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. Like 3 cities, 3 states in less than 4 days. But one particular story I want to talk to you about and tell you, and the history. Please, if you've never been, please go. You've been down? You've been to the South, haven't you?
Been to Georgia.
Georgia. Did you get to look at all the historical stuff and do some?
I just went to Fort Benning out there
Yeah.
in Georgia.
There's-
And,
it's rich with the history and the
I
Civil
loved
War,
it because it's so different than the West Coast.
and it's beautiful.
Beautiful vegetation out there. The people speak so much different and have so much respect. It's, yes sir, yes ma'am, and it's like you don't hear that out here, and but it's natural with them, and no matter where you went in the malls and stuff, they treated you with respect, and it was really weird.
It was
because-
really weird. They
Yeah,
were very
compared-
nice.
Compared to the West Coast, you walk into Walmart in California, and there's no yes sir, yes ma'am. But out there, they have respect for people. It's the upbringing, and I was really surprised by that.
It is more traditional. But one particular story, so we went to the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham. And for those of you that know a little more history, this was a real good test of your history. But in the 60s, during all the tumultuous time of the race riots and things like that, there was a bomb put in there, and 4 little girls died. So we went to go, we saw so much stuff. It was amazing. So when we got there, we're walking across the street. There was a man who approached and says, I want to tell you the history of this. We're like, okay, that's cool. He seemed like a local, okay? And he did. He knew a lot of the history, and he was explaining. We couldn't get in the church because it was Monday. It was Veterans Day. They had the church closed up, but it is still an active church. It's beautiful, and I'll share pictures on Facebook and everything too. I don't like to do that stuff when I'm actually enjoying there when I come back. So after all that, and he's telling us all about this wonderful history, and this gentleman happens to be black, and he's about 65 years old. His name was Andrew, in fact, as a matter of fact. And so after we had to leave because we had the other stuff to go to, and my husband and I were staying talking to him, and he was a veteran. I think he was in the Air Force. And he started to tell us about how he was a supporter of Trump. And he said, he says, I'm excited. I'm kind of paraphrasing what he said, but he says, my benefits, things are getting restored. He says, and if the president wanted me to help him in some way, and he was on crutches, he goes, I would crawl back there and I would help our president. And it was just such a cool thing to witness, because that's one of the reasons that our show exists, because we're brown and there's different minorities, women, and everything. Oh, you're not supposed to like Trump, and you're a racist, and you're awful, and all this. No, this guy had a lot of support for it, and it's just so refreshing. And there's so many more people out there that are that way, and it's more about just the Trumps. Oh, you just think he's a guy. No, it's what he stands for, and pro-life, and George knows all about this. But I wanted to share that with you. I hadn't even had a chance to tell you that story.
I like, the way Trump epitomizes us, the inner us, the stuff that we want to say it and we don't say it sometimes.
Right.
He says it, because no other person running for president would have brought the border out the way he did, would have brought Hillary Clinton out the way he did, would have brought the Democrats out and chastised them the way he did. He said everything we wanted to say, and it talked about China. I mean, none of the politicians would have ever mentioned China and about the balance of power in China and stuff, because they don't want to upset the apple cart, or they didn't. Trump did, and he meant what he said, and he talked about North Korea, and he meant what he said, that we were being taken advantage of, and NATO, and how we were being taken advantage of, and climate change, and that can go both ways. People. Maybe in the future he can give in a little bit of climate change, but not the way we were in it. We were in it to lose money, to give money, and all the other countries weren't doing the same in climate change. China was violating it. India was violating it. So he had to get out, and NAFTA, he had to get out because he's a businessman. So.
And how long have we talked about within the Republican Party? We always think, we need someone who is a successful businessman, and he's plain spoken. Someone told me one time, when Trump speaks, he doesn't speak way up here, and that's why I think he is an effective communicator, because he's more plain spoken. Sometimes people aren't real cool with his style, but he gets his point and information across.
And he talks about the deal, the art of the deal, like he was talking to Turkey. He got out of Syria because this is a battle, like he said. It's been going on for thousands of years. The Kurds versus the
You almost
the
said something
Syrians.
else there.
The Kurds versus the Syrians, and it's a religious thing, and why are we there policing this war that's been going on for centuries? And he did the right thing, but yet all the Democrats, of course, they said that was the worst thing in the world for him to do. And some of our own Republicans were saying that was a bad idea. But Trump does things because it comes out of his heart, because he
he's
thinks
very
about it.
strategically thinking. Every time I'll even think, well, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
And it always comes out, George, don't you think that, yeah, okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
And he explained it.
And I always think about this, too. The president has access to information that we don't. And we're not the president. And
what about Israel? Moving the capital to Jerusalem. All the presidents have said they wanted to do it, but Trump actually did it. And then he did it, and he saved money doing it, because he says, okay, you can do it over here, and you build it here. This building's already here. He actually saved money doing it, whereas another president was like, okay, I don't care how much it costs, I'm going to make a name for myself. He didn't. He moved it. He did it for a reason, because that's the capital of Israel, is Jerusalem. And all the presidents have said that they were going to put the embassy in Jerusalem, but they never did. They were afraid. They were afraid to make that first move. This president does things. And North Korea, that's another one. All the presidents have done just talk. Clinton did a deal, but it turned out that he did a bad deal. North Korea took advantage of all these presidents. With Trump said, you're going to keep firing those missiles. We got bigger missiles. And people, they got all offended because they thought, okay, this is World War III coming. But the guy respects Trump, and Trump ended up respecting that guy and showing him how they could improve their country by changing the way that over in North Korea, they live by nuclear arms. That's the way their military runs that country. So whatever his name has to be careful that he doesn't make the changes too fast. Trump was able to talk to him. He was able to bring our dead remains back, which no other president did. He was able to free some prisoners, which Obama.
Well, and
couldn't
all
do.
the things that you're saying you don't get them in the regular news. You have to
No.
watch our little show, that we have, or different things.
Right.
And that's what, a lot of people, I'll tell people, don't believe me. Just do your own research. Do your own
Right.
research, because it's out there. And you have to know what source to go. So I want to talk about, George, have you been able to watch any of the impeachment stuff at all?
No,
I
I've
know
been
this is the
avoiding
hardest
it.
working man.
I've
You've
been
been avoiding on
avoiding
purpose?
I've been avoiding it, but I was watching. I listened to Glenn Beck and not Glenn Beck, Rush Limbaugh, and he had some of the
Highlights.
highlights of some of the Jim Jordan attacks on them and stuff, bringing
Well,
out the
know-
truth. And
One of
so
the
I listened to that, and then the Sean Hannity radio show, and
What
I
do you think
listened
about?
to some of the playbacks from that. And
What do you think about this? Because we've been posting stories. If you go to our Facebook site, by the way, if you follow us on Facebook's Chips Letter and Salsa Show, and you haven't liked our page, will you please like it and tell everybody else to as well? This is our 5-year anniversary, and we're trying to rock it and get ready for 2020. But you probably heard about this, that Schiff was claiming that he doesn't know the whistleblower's identity.
he's lying. He's lying.
I saw when I think it was Jim Jordan that asked him about that. I'm like, are you really seriously saying that? I mean, can you believe that? How bold?
He's lying because his staff, if his staff knew who the whistleblower is, he would have had to know. That's his staff. If I'm senator and I have my staff and my staff does things, they better let me know what they're doing, 100%.
But wouldn't you, not to steal this, but wouldn't you demand to know?
I would demand that my staff keeps me informed. That's how a good leader leads. If you have people under you, they better tell you what's going on, or you don't need them. And for Schiff to say he didn't know the whistleblower, he's lying. He's lying. He knew who the whistleblower was. That's all I got to say.
So what predictions do
He's
you...
shifty Schiff.
So yeah, we have been posting a lot of stuff. By the way, we should take a moment. There was a shooting in California,
Yeah, at one of the high schools.
so we should take
Today.
a moment. And George is always very good about this. To please offer prayers. I think that there's 2 people that have died. Is that what?
Yeah,
Sarah,
they
have
had
you
some
been following
fatalities.
that? No?
And the shooter shot himself, but I think he's still alive. I'm not sure, but it's a
Yeah,
sad.
he was
it's a
fighting for his
sad-
life, I think.
It's a sad day today in that part of California, and really for the whole United States, because any state that has a shooting at a high school, elementary, college, it's a sad day for our country. Because we shouldn't have that kind of violence. Who knows what's going to come out about this young man, why he did it, how he got access to the guns that he had, or the gun. So that remains to be seen. But it is sad. We pray for his family. We pray for not his his family and the family of all the innocent people. This shouldn't happen in this in
Yeah,
our
so
country.
2
And so,
dead, several injured in Southern California.
It could be a mental thing, and that's a thing that our country has to look at is mental illness in the United States, and the access to weapons for people that are mentally unstable, and how to control that. I don't know, it may not be possible to control weapons from mentally unstable people, but there may be a way, maybe by reporting, knowing who has weapons, and then knowing if in the family there's somebody unstable. We don't know. That's it becomes too
It's
controlling.
a tough situation.
Because our freedoms are that we have the right to bear arms.
The one thing,
But-
though, that I always like to talk about in these situations, and I mentioned, Sarah is a student of Krav Maga, and there's other things that you can do because, unfortunately, the world we live in, you kind of have to be prepared for awful things to happen anywhere, and know your situation and what you're, up against wherever you are. And not take chances that you don't have to, because even if you might think you're in the safest place possible, you just don't know anymore.
And more training at the school level, first counseling, of course, talking to students about the value of life and the value of owning a weapon and how to respect the weapon, because weapons are for you can use a target practice or you can go hunting. Weapons aren't made to kill human beings with, and that should be taught at a infancy level and gone up to the schools. But also, besides self-defense, there's other ways for kids to help other kids. If they see something wrong, tell somebody, so that somebody could look into that. If there's a person that's spewing anger like that, we should know. I mean, the schools should know, or the parents should know, or the community. Laws have to change. I mean, people have to change. The whole structure has to change to where doesn't happen as much as it's happened before. And I think a lot of it's been mental illness, and
that I think that is the bulk of it. Being in that trip in the South, we went to it's a I'm always mispronounce it, Chickamauga battlefield, and that's in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And there they have a wonderful museum of guns and rifles from the Civil War period and more recent. And it's much respect when you see those beautiful weapons, and they are, and that's it's.
And the thing is, a lot of people are talking. They try to put politics into things, and you have the Democrats versus the Republicans and the Independents, and people hating each other just because they wear a MAGA hat or because they wear our Trump 2020 hat. There shouldn't be that kind of hate. If you have a hat that says Hillary, I'm not going to hate you for it. I might not like your position of liking Hillary, but I'm not going to hate you for it. I'm not going to go up to you and knock the hat off your head. That's wrong.
And that's
goes hate
against
that we don't need in this country.
America. I mean, the principles of America is that we're different people, but we have freedom of speech and we can live amongst each other. And that's what's so beautiful about America. And you can think differently, look differently, worship differently, but you still are Americans.
But when you have politicians telling their followers, attack them in the restaurants where they go, attack them in the public where they go, don't let them talk. That's what Maxine Waters was. Don't.
Some other politicians.
And so people that follow her think it's right because my politician says to do it, and they, you're spewing hate. You don't need to spew hate. This is a country of the freedoms. We were given the freedoms. We have the right, the freedom of speech. The freedom to bear arms. You can't take that away from us. We're the only country that has this, and we have to protect it. I'm Puerto Rican. I was born a citizen. I've been a citizen all my life, and I would fight for this country. There's people that come here, and they categorically said, "I won't fight for this country." Then what are you doing here? This country's built on our freedoms and our protection, but yet we protect those people that wouldn't. To say they won't fight for it.
And George, that gives me a good segue. So last week, if you watched last week's show,
I was wondering when all
you
those
weren't
things.
here. I want to explain because you're wondering, right? And Sarah and I know because we were here. So we had a candidate, Mike Crawford, and Mike Crawford is running for sheriff of Maricopa County, and his wife Jamie, who's kind of his campaign manager. They brought in all the The little toy soldiers. Remember these Army soldiers?
I used to play with them
Remember?
all the time.
Right?
That's what I was
Yeah.
like, somebody playing soldiers?
They're so awesome. Well, it was going to be Veterans Day, right? So the idea and the concept behind this is they go wherever they go, they have the soldiers and they give them to you. And what they want you to do, and you can take some of these, is take these and put them somewhere, your office, your home, so you can remember our veterans. And you can remember to pray for them and appreciate them and respect them. And I think that's so powerful to do that. So I took a couple of them. I think Sarah took one or two, and you could take some as well. And you don't have to have these guys and gals there, but you can, because that's why we are free. Freedom isn't free. There's a lot. And just coming back from the South, there's a really neat thing, and I'll have to post it. But in essence, what the statue said, a lot of lives were lost, a lot of blood was shed, and brother against brother, and it was a horrible, horrible time for our nation. But out of all that, we persevered and we became stronger, and we are a good nation. And right now, I feel kind of like we're in a political civil war,
Yep.
and
It is-
we
it
don't
is-
want it to get violent.
It is. It's half the country believes this, and they watch CNN and MSNBC, and they will not watch Fox or believe what they see in Fox. Then you got this side who thinks rationally, watches Fox, and actually turn, like I do. I turn the channel sometimes and I watch
I do
CNN and MSNBC, but I switch right away because all it is negative. But I want to hear what they have to say, and it's always anti-Trump, anti-Trump. And it's so sickening to see, because you have to be an open mind person. Say, is this what he said? Does this make sense? Is it right? Or this Democrat saying this, does this make sense? Is this right?
Well, and even if you can't, be the judge, do some research. And if you see one story on one channel, go and look it up somewhere else, or ask someone who really you trust and follows things. Because there's certain, we share a lot of things like the DML app and different sources, because 99% of the time they've done their homework and they do stuff, and even sometimes like, is that true? Does that really happen? I'll still go and check it. But you know what? We're not a news organization. Both George and I work full time. Zara goes to school full time, and we just do, and Sonia too. She has things to do. We do the best we can. But our deal here is to talk about politics and the fact that we are conservatives and we believe in the Republican Party platform. And we just want to inform you about it. And
I used to be a Democrat.
We have challengers. We have our own troll, which we're very proud
we
of.
used to be Democrats, and
Yeah, both of us did.
And I believed in the union rights because I was a union president, and I believed what I was doing until I got smarter, and
More informed.
Reagan became president, and after that I became a Republican.
And you know what?
But,
It's not even about getting smarter. To me, it was about getting the information that I didn't have.
Yeah, you
because
just think at
there's
one
people
time.
a lot smarter than me and higher IQ and intelligence, but I have some friends that way, and I think if you just knew or could be a little more educated on these things, that's fine. And they probably feel the same way about me. But then show me. You know what? I've more than once on occasion, you have done it too. Please prove that I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong about this.
You know what educated
certain
me?
issue.
What educated me in 2016 was, what's his name? The one that Hillary's America.
Dinesh D'Souza.
Dinesh D'Souza. I actually met him. I shook his hand, took pictures with him, and we saw the preview or the opening of his show in Ohio when he it was.
Well, he was there at the convention.
Yeah, he was at the convention, and his wife, and all the actors that were there. They were all on stage, and it was so. I sat there and watched it, and I watched the second one too. But I sat there and watched it, and the history. He's not making it up. This is the way the Democrats were the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, everything that he puts in that film is true. That's why I tell people, don't believe me. Go with an open mind and watch that movie. I mean, without a precondition. Just like clean your mind and just sit there and watch the movie.
Try to be objective. And in that movie, too, they have a museum. I believe she's the museum curator or owner, and she happens to be black. And she's the one telling you this history, too. I mean, it's so well done. It's
done.
It's probably on Netflix, I would think, or something.
And the other one that's
Go
good
look at
is
it if you-
the one for the abortion. The lady who quit
Unplanned.
unplanned.
If you haven't seen that yet, in January, I think that Abby Johnson will be here.
Oh,
The
good.
movie that movie's based on her story, and we need to be at that. By the way, so I just got a few minutes. I wanted to
What's this?
promote some things. That's just a story
Oh.
that I was reading, but I also wanted to tell you we had last week also Maria McDonald Birnbaum, our good friend, and she is working with the Susan B. Anthony list, and they are hiring pro-lifers here in the Maricopa area. They have got other, throughout the country as well. But you can get paid to advance the pro-life cause. I'm missing my sign up here, Sarah. We forgot to post it. I got to find it. Pray to end abortion. But I always have my little button I try to wear. But they are hiring pro-life field representatives. You go door to door, and the pay is $12.50 an hour,
That's
which
good.
isn't bad. You don't have to, they'll train you. So you don't have to worry about having to have all kinds of information because they'll give it to you. They've got flexible hours up to 40 hours a week. You even get mileage reimbursement, 30 cents a mile.
That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So
That's good,
field
good.
reps must be 16 or older. I mean, this is a great job for a young person, able to abide by strict daily reporting requirements and in harmony with the pro-life mission. So if you're interested, contact Maria. I'm going to give you a phone number and an email. So Maria Birnbaum, she would be a fantastic supervisor, I think. I've known her for few years. You have too, I think. And she'd be great to work for. She's super easygoing, very smart, and very clear, and a good communicator. But you can call her if you'd like, if you live here in the Maricopa area, 480-510-8704. And I'm going to repeat that number again, 480-510-8704. And I'll hold it up so Sarah can show you too. And the email is maria@sba, so like that Susan B. Anthony, listfield.org. SBALISTFIELD.org. So I just really want to, do that because that's a great job.
Yeah.
If I were a college student or a stay-at-home mom or
It's perfect. I mean,
Ever.
up to 40 hours a week. That's
maybe you just need some extra money and that's your cause. It's a great,
and so they just go into the community and
and they give you the list. So like if you want to stay in your own neighborhood, you can certainly do that. I mean, it's super, super well organized. Also, tomorrow, are you going to the deal with the Republican National Hispanic Assembly with
I have
Art
to
Del
work.
Cueto? He's a hard-working guy. But
you
tomorrow,
will have to.
our good friend Terry Mendoza, the head of that organization, they are going to put on a fundraiser. They call them not a fundraiser, a fundraiser, and we're going to do that. So I'll be there tomorrow. I think it's a little late to do an RSVP. Maybe you can go to their Facebook site anyway. It's RNHA Arizona. That stands for Republican National Hispanic Assembly Arizona. And the only thing I wanted to mention too, George, maybe you saw this, but there was we should have brought this up when Daniel was here, but this is a poll that just came out, and it's out of Phoenix. Arizona's registered Hispanic voters want to see Trump impeached, is what it says. It says that the 57% of Hispanics say that. But what was interesting about this poll is they said Hispanics make up nearly 1/3 of Arizona's total population and becoming more engaged. And I was looking, and I'm gonna look for this, and hopefully I find it. But it was a way that it's like self-identify. Here it is. The methodology. A survey was conducted by OH Predictive Insights between October 31st and November 8th, which we're already the 14th, so this could be, already an out-of-date poll. But it says that they were like self-identified as voters. So, I think it's.
Well, if you go to 90% Democrats' homes or 90% Democrat district and you knock on doors, you're going to get 80% or 75% Democrats answering, and they'll all be Latinos. You could skew a poll any way you want.
Well, this was the line that got me because it says the survey was completed by this, this company, and it says respondents self-qualifying as registered to vote in Arizona. So it's interesting.
Now, I bet you $1 to a donut that this same polling data company probably said Hillary Clinton was going to win for president.
Well, and I don't know that because I don't.
Because 90% of the polling were in Hillary's favor.
I will tell you though.
But did she win? No. Is she president? No.
I've never been polled. Have you?
Huh? Nope. I've never been polled.
And I'm gonna, I don't know any Hispanics that have been, because I ask people, not that I've asked
I mean,
every
they send me
Hispanic person.
surveys. I get surveys from the Democratic parties, but that's not being polled. Poll is like when you call somebody on the phone and you ask them questions, or you knock on their door and you ask them questions. I've never been polled.
Yeah. So anyways, it's just like we discussed with Daniel, I think it's interesting to look at the polls, but they're not always foolproof. And I think that the thing to me, I talk to people. I talk to a lot of people and find out, like where they stand and why they think what they think.
I'm a realist. When I see Trump at a rally, and I see Beto O'Rourke or Bernie Sanders or any of them at a rally, Trump dominates the
There's
rally.
a few people at his rallies, aren't there?
When he
In
was
fact,
running,
how many thousands of one of the rallies? There were
Take it-
thousands of
okay.
people waiting outside. They couldn't even get in.
okay, take it back. Just take it back. He's president now, so people are gonna say that he's president. That's why. No, let's take it back to when he wasn't president.
True.
And there were 17 candidates. Every time he had a rally, it was packed. It wasn't just, because he's president. He was, he wasn't president. He wasn't even a politician.
He was just running at that point. You're right.
But he sold out the venues. I was at the venues. Here in Phoenix when his first rally was here in Phoenix. And it was like, one of his first rallies. And it was packed. I volunteered because I was able to get in there. And it was packed. And that was at downtown Phoenix.
And you know what else I think about, George? The more recent rallies. Like a lot of people, if they've already seen Trump and they know how many people are going and they can't go, so they may not make that big effort because I've seen them already, so give somebody else a chance. There's still the draws of people. It's amazing. I know we just have a few minutes.
And
but
now you're seeing these Hispanics, you're seeing blacks, you're seeing Asians. A lot of people that weren't at the rallies before. There were a few, but now you're seeing them in hundreds and hundreds. He is picking up the silent majority, and mark my word, Trump's going to be reelected.
There are more and more of us. Okay, so we got like 2 minutes. Predictions on this impeachment hearings or anything?
They're just going to shoot themselves in the foot. Every time they do something that's going to... He's a Teflon president. It's going to come and pop right. We have good senators or good House representatives, chairmen, and in there that are going to ask the good questions.
They did a good job. The part that I got to
And
watch, the
they
Jim
gotta keep
Jordans
doing
of
it.
the world.
And they got to keep doing it. They got to keep doing it. They got to keep on them, showing them the fallacy of what they're doing.
And
here.
I also want to tell everybody out there, so if you want to, call your congressperson and tell them what you think. Tell them what you think.
Yep.
Because they represent you. We are the bosses. We're supposed to be the bosses.
Yep.
So don't forget to do that. All right, we got 1 minute, George. What have we forgotten to talk about? Sarah, anything from you? We want to give shout out to Super Sarah, our intern, does a great job, and also to our producer, Sonia. Thank you, Sonia.
And if you've got kids around the pool, watch kids around water, watch kids around your pool. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. Don't leave pets unattended in vehicles. They're children too. And be responsible. Be a responsible parent for your child and for your pets. And just don't drink and drive. Let somebody else drive. And
let somebody else text for you. And then one more thing too. Talk Central. We're doing a Tuesday edition of the Chips and Salsa show at 5 p.m. Arizona time, and that's on Talk Central Phoenix. So you can find that on Facebook. We'll be telling you more about that.
Right.
And wow, we're out of time.
we're out of time.
Thank you so much, Chipsters. Well, I'll get it right. Sorry, kind of been off tonight. Alice Lauda here with.
Don Jorge.
Thank you, Super Sarah. Guacon, have a great week. We'll see you next
Go
week.
Trump. Go Trump. Go Trump.
Thank you, señorita.
Trump.
How do we do, Miss Sarah?
Pretty good.
All right. And I know you got to get out of here, so I appreciate it.
Oh, that's nice. I got a nice shirt. Did it go off?
I don't think so. Every time I try to turn it off, it just like doesn't. This is so clear.
I'm walking in front of the YouTube. Want me to just block it? No.
No.
YouTube is still on?
Yeah.